Megacast TV, your channel of choice. Please like, share, and subscribe.
Hello, and a very good evening, and welcome to another edition of Megacast TV. My name's Jake, and I'm joined by my co-host from across the pond, the wonderful Beth. Good evening, Beth. How are you?
Hello, everyone. Hey, Jake. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. You've gone a little bit quiet.
Me?
Oh, there we go. That's good. Yes.
Oh, I was going to say, what?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. What have you been up to? It's been a while.
It has been a minute. Yeah, we had some pretty big snowstorms here, and I know that you are actually currently in a storm right now, aren't you?
Yeah, the weather warning for our storm ended at 9 p.m. our time, which was 4 p.m. Eastern Standard. So we're more or less out of that weather storm now, but it's been bad for a couple of days. We've had two separate storms, so it's been bad for a couple of days. So yeah, not good at all.
You didn't blow away, huh?
No, I didn't. No, I think it's my weight keeping me down.
Gotta be good for something.
Exactly. So tonight we're going to be discussing all about LGBTQ in America, and because you sent me something earlier on in the week, didn't you, about a love wall in Ohio?
I did. So I'm in Toledo, Ohio, and we have a love wall here that's painted in rainbow. I don't know if you can show that. I don't know.
I will. It'll be
okay.
Edited in. Yeah, that's cool.
Great. Okay. And so in Toledo, the location where that's at, it's very LGBTQ friendly on that whole entire strip. It's called Adams Street. And yeah, it's a lot of fun down there, a lot of celebration. We have our LGBTQ parade in the summertime.
Oh, wow. So you have a parade. We have pride parades here in the UK. Our pride parade's in the summer as well. So that's good. And what about, like, other states in America? How are they? Are they all LGBTQ friendly, or?
I don't think so. I know I have like the top 5 states. But I would love, since we have Mallory here, I would love to hear what Mallory thinks about Texas, where she's from, and how her community is.
Well, I would say when it comes to Texas, we love our independence and our privacy. And so most Texans, you're not going to get much of a hassle when it comes to your sexual orientation, because frankly, people just don't care what you do in the bedroom. But there are some areas of Texas that are going to be more LGBTQ friendly. Generally, any urban area like Dallas or Houston, which is the 4th largest city in the U.S., they both have gayborhoods, neighborhoods that are just predominantly LGBTQ. We went to Galveston during Pride Month. They have a huge Pride. Well, all the big cities have a huge Pride festivals, but they have areas where they paint the crosswalks over in rainbow, things like that, just for Pride Month. I would really say in Texas, the most LGBTQ friendly area would be Austin and Hill Country in general. That's going to be the more progressive when it comes to political things, the progressive area of Texas. It's also the state capital. So there's some really cool stuff you can see in Austin, and Austin's theme is Keep Austin Weird. And it's a pretty weird place, but we like weird. So
obviously I know that being in the UK, that Texas is known as, or well, from a UK point of view, the Bible Belt. So surely that if you are very or you are LGBTQ person, it's going to be a sin to be that, or how does that work?
I say the part of Texas I live in is the buckle of the Bible Belt, and that's East Texas, and it's a heavily Baptist area, and you will find a lot of people who will, they're not going to come up to you and say, you're going to hell, generally speaking. Everybody has gay people in their family, and people are pretty open and out here. Now, again, in Hill Country and Austin, in any urban areas, generally the religiosity is going to go down the more urban the area is. I live in a specifically rural area, so people have high levels of religiosity. But if you go towards Austin and West Texas, there's far less Baptists. You're going to get more Lutherans, more progressive Episcopalian, more progressive Christianity. So yeah, there's still going to be a lot of people who are religious, but not all Christian denominations think that being gay is not okay. So.
Okay.
And that was the article that I sent you, Jake, I think, of the church here in Toledo that is accepting of all LGBTQ members. And I think that's kind of how this conversation actually really started.
Yeah, because that's a whole other thing here in the UK. You see, the Queen is our head of the church in the UK. And it is actually against the law to get married in a Christian church if you are LGBTQ in the UK.
Mallory, doesn't that just blow your mind?
It does. That's definitely not the case here at all.
The only way you can get married if you're LGBTQ in the UK is to have a civil ceremony. Now, this got me in bed talking about the different places that you can have civil ceremonies, because there are some far out there venues that to have a civil ceremony, you have to be licensed. So it's not all a case of you go to the registry office. Sometimes it can be, you get married on a zip line, or you get married on a mountaintop, or there's some really weird out there locations that you can get married at. So actually it's not all that bad, but you can't get married in a church.
And if you are, very religious and you happen to be gay, I mean, that just gotta just really hurt.
It does, yeah. I've got a friend, and she's quite religious. We're quite close friends, me and Lee, and her partner, who is also a woman. And she would dearly, dearly love to get married in the church. In fact, there is nothing more that she could think of that would make her more proud. It's just very sad that, unfortunately, currently, as the law stands, it just can't be done. Now, whether that's something that might change when Charles comes into power, I don't know, but the Queen is very traditionalist, and she's very, she was brought up with a very traditional sort of family and her traditional family values. And so whenever I think she's in power, it's never going to happen.
She's also 95, right? So, I mean, you have old school thinking, right? But and I'm thinking, okay, maybe with Charles, but isn't he like 78 or something as well?
He is, yeah. I can't see Charles having very much long on the throne, to be honest. Maybe 20 years, 25 years, maybe, and then we'll have William, which will hopefully, really speed things up a bit. But I was gobsmacked to find that you can get married in churches. I was like, no way.
Now, Mallory,
yeah, our churches.
A lot of churches in Texas that can do that, because here it's only like one or two in Toledo.
Oh, absolutely. The vast majority of Episcopalian churches, it's up to the rector there, but most Episcopalian churches no issue. Presbyterian churches, they have no issue. Lutheran churches, depending on the synoid, and again, there's various kinds of Presbyterians, but if it's a ELCA, which is Evangelical Lutheran Church, they've got no problem with it. Disciples of Christ, it depends on the congregation. United Church of Christ has no problem with it. So in my church in particular, we've done tons of gay marriages. So
what's really bizarre is that our major religions over here in the UK are Catholic and Christianity. And Catholic, you've got no chance at all in getting married if you were LGBTQ plus or whatever. Christianity, I do feel could bend towards that way of going if things were to change drastically. But the one thing that really surprises me so much is that, and you get this a lot, is that there's so much anti-LGBTQ American news. And you see that how many people in America are haters of LGBTQ people. but yet your churches are so open and welcoming. And ours, we are very LGBTQ friendly. We accept everybody, we have pride events. All the major towns and cities have pride events. However, you can't get married in a church here. It's just very bizarre. I find it very strange. So please forgive me, Mallory. Do you have a certain religion a certain church that you attend?
Yes. So I am a Christian, and I currently attend a church that's duly affiliated with the United Church of Christ and the Disciples of Christ, DOC, which is the Christian church. So those are two more progressive forms of Protestantism. My wife grew up Lutheran ELCA, which is the Progressive Lutherans, but she does attend the same church that I attend now. But there's a number of churches. For instance, I'm one of the organizers for our local East Texas Pride, and we have a number of churches who were sponsors of that, and we'll have booths at Pride. So it blows my mind that you can't get married in a church. Most people choose not to get married in churches because they're not as pretty as other venues, but it still blows my mind.
We have a church here in Barnsley that actually holds our LGBTQ pride. And they have that. There's a little road at the side of the church, which is mainly part of the pride area. But as far as I know, and I might be wrong, but you can't get married as an LGBTQ person in that church. It is totally and fundamentally against the law. So what about other states near you, Beth? Up in you're a bit more northern, aren't you?
Yep. So I actually Googled the top 5 LGBTQ cities across America. The first one is San Francisco, which is known as the gay capital of the world, and that's in California. The second one was New Orleans, and that's in Louisiana, so that's south. Third is Portland, Oregon. That's all the way across from Ohio on the other side of the states. And then 4 was New York. And then the 5th was Orlando, Florida. And in Orlando, or I should say Florida, there's Disney. And I know, Mallory, that Jake told me that you are a huge Disney fan.
I am.
So I found something in my research that I wanted to ask you about. Mm-hmm. In Disney, it said that they celebrate a Disney Gay Day. Is that true?
Yes. So it's an unofficial day, meaning that Disney doesn't officially sponsor it or organize it. However, you will see a lot more rainbow stuff at Disney on that day. Everybody knows it's Gay Day. Now, Disneyland Paris, is my understanding, has an official done by Disney Pride. And in the last couple of years, Disney World and Disneyland have really upped, especially during Pride Month, all their rainbow merchandise. So I think it's coming quickly. Now, Florida is one of those states that's kind of conservative. So it's kind of a weird state to be in that regard. New Orleans is very gay friendly. It's 6 hours away from where I live, and they've got a lot of, it's kind of a weird city too, like Austin, but in a different way.
I have a pen pal in Oregon, and they're totally, open to almost anything there, really, aren't they? She's always telling me about the drugs laws being really relaxed, and, they smoke lots of cannabis, and it's all really hippily cool. So for that to come up in the top 5 didn't surprise me at all. But Mallory, I want to talk to you a bit more about the Disney thing, because are you VIPs there?
So we have in the past been annual pass holders. However, we let that lapse during COVID when the parks were closed. We did not renew, and now currently right now at Disney World, they're not doing annual passes unless you're Florida residents. And I think that's due to restrictions in the park and the level of attendance they're allowed to have. I'm sure that will change. So we're not currently annual pass holders, but we do have a trip planned for April.
Am I okay to steal some photographs from Disney off your profile and put them in the video?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That would be so cool. That would be cool. So yes, you're right. France is very, very open to love as a whole, as I think Italy is, isn't it, Beth? Because your husband's Italian.
Yeah.
So how does he feel about the whole LGBTQ thing in Italy and in his life?
Yeah, so lots of family members, like Mallory said, we have lots of family members in the Italian side of the family that are very open about being gay, and it's just not even a thing.
So have you both been to Pride events in the States?
Oh yeah.
And
well, I hope Mallory has, because she's organizing it. So I hope she's going.
And how are they? Mallory, you go first.
Okay, so the first Pride event I ever went to, I was probably in my very early 20s, and it was in Houston, and it's a huge, huge, huge deal. It's in the neighborhood, Montrose, and it's the city buses people in. It's so big, and they have a massive parade. It's a lot of fun, and it's in June in Houston, so it's hot as hell. So it's a little miserable. I've also been to Pride in Dallas. They have Pride in the autumn, and they have another Pride during June, but their main Pride is in the autumn, so it's not quite as hot, and they have a lovely parade. I saw a very interesting mud fight go down one year when it rained between a whole group of lesbians. Of course, it was the lesbians slinging the mud on the lawn of this super fancy swanky hotel. They were not pleased. And then I live in a rural area, and we have a big Pride celebration here. I've been a part of organizing it since the beginning, and we actually do 2 days of a Pride celebration. Now, the first night is a family-oriented event, so very family-friendly. It's people with their children, that sort of thing. And then we have Pride the next day for everybody, and you can bring kids. It's not what I would call not family friendly, but there is alcohol at that event. And on Friday night, we don't have alcohol. So just a little bit, in Texas, people are weird about alcohol. So, but we don't have a parade, but we have a big festival. And the highlight of that festival is always the drag show. Getting these little kids and these drag queens together, because normally they can't see drag shows. Those take places in bars, typically where children aren't allowed, and it's beautiful when you combine the two.
Wow, that sounds amazing. One of our major cities that has probably apart from London, obviously, that has the major Pride event is Manchester, and it's like the major calendar event of the year for the gay, lesbian, Pride communities. Do you know what I mean? And so they have a whole village. If you ever get a chance to come to the UK, they have a gay village in the UK, in Manchester. And it's full of pubs and drag bars and restaurants. And you can walk around quite freely, holding hands, kissing, cuddling. Nobody bats an eyelid. And it's that part of Manchester that's quite accepting about it all. So it's, it's very open. It's very friendly indeed. And they have whole stages with acts on, and you can pay to get into certain parts of the stages and certain venues, and depending on which acts you want to see. So it's all quite marvelous. What about over there in Ohio, the prides over there, Beth?
Yeah, so we have one that takes place downtown. And they really try to utilize that the best that we can. If being a licensed social worker, some of the HIV clinics really take use of that, and they'll pass out condoms or phone numbers to the HIV clinic, and just trying to promote safe sex and education and that. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Just like Mallory said, it's a drag show at the end. And we actually have a new restaurant. I would say it's about 4 years old, maybe just before COVID. It's called Hamburger Mary's, and the servers all are drag, and they have a show at the end of the night, and it's drag, and it is amazing. So they have a Facebook page. So if you want to check them out, Hamburger Mary's, kind of an odd name, but yeah, very cool restaurant.
I will post that in the video link. Thank you very much. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And lastly, just one thing that I did want to talk to you about, Mallory, is that your town is a big Christmas lighting town. I just wanted to talk to you about that, didn't I? Because I've done some research on, I like to look at the areas that my pen pals live in and have a little walk around on, on maps and things, and yeah, look at the little areas. And I gathered some information on your area, and they have a huge Christmas celebration, light celebration, don't they?
Yes, we do. It started in the 80s, and rumor has it there were some big companies that went out of business here around that time, and the town was just kind of down in the dumps, and they thought, what can we do to uplift spirit? And a former Marshall resident who I think was living in Paris, but it may have been London, sent over several $1,000s to start it, and we bought a bunch of Christmas lights, and it's kind of been going on ever since. So our downtown area, our courthouse which is a historical courthouse, it's really lovely, is lit up, and then all the main streets, and we have an outdoor ice skating rink, which might not sound like a big deal to most people, but it's in December here, it can be in the 80s. So it is kind of a big deal for us. And there's some old wooden from the 1800s sort of rides you can ride. You can take carriage rides. It's nice. We actually volunteered this year. They have a Santa's workshop area where for free, kids and families can go and decorate cookies with Mrs. Claus. They can get a photo with Santa for free. And they can put together in Santa's workshop, toy shop, little wooden train toys. And so we volunteered helping very small children hammer wooden trains together. By the end of the night, my brain hurt so bad, but it was a lot of fun.
And is this just something that happens at Christmas, or is this throughout the year, or?
So no, that's just at Christmas time. Marshall, the town that I live in, is also known as being the birthplace of George Foreman, who's a heavyweight boxer and does the grills. I don't know if you'll have those in the UK. And also, if you've ever seen the movie The Great Debaters, which is about a historical Black college, Wiley College, that's here in Marshall, who back in the 20s and still today has an amazing debate team. They were so amazing that they would go and debate like Yale and Harvard and beat their debate teams, but because they were a historical Black college, they didn't receive proper credit. But it's a really good movie. It's got it was produced by Oprah, I want to say, and it has some pretty big actors in it. Denzel Washington. They premiered it here at our local theater. It was a big deal for a town of just a little over 20,000 people.
Oh, wow. It sounds amazing. Well, thank you very much for joining us this evening, Mallory. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we must do it again soon, because it's been great. And we'll get you in talking about other stuff as well.
Thank you.
Anyway, right, I'm going now. Bye. I'll leave Beth to say her goodbyes.
Bye.
Bye.
I have Zoom meetings that we have to do for work where all of us therapists have to get together with the owner of the practice, and she talks at us and blah, blah, blah. Well, I went to go get on, and the background was the same. All the American and British flags popped up, and everybody looked at me.
I don't know. And she's American.
That's so funny. So I'm very Yankee. So like the northern states, so Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania. So Texas would be considered like one of the southerns, maybe like, hey y'all, kind of like that accent.
Yeah, definitely. She's definitely got that southern accent, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
What's her name?
I don't even know. It seems like we don't, when we do write, it's like big gaps in between. I don't even remember. That's so funny.
Megacast TV, your channel of choice. Please like, share, and subscribe.